Hello, my Facebook family, and welcome to another session of Come Sit and Chat with Dr. Clay. I want to welcome all of you to the session today. And several people have been asking, oh my goodness, what is this session about? Well, of course, it's been tagged on. You know, the session today is actually about conflicting parenting styles. Conflicting parenting styles. So many of us who are parents, and even those of us who want to be parents someday, need to recognize that we all have different ways of parenting our children, right? So I would say to you that think back to how your parents parented you. And we'll start off with you kind of reflecting on some of those things before we get started. But I just wanted to share for those of you as you come on, please, hello, Jewel. As you come on, please do not hesitate to type in any questions or any concerns that you may have concerning parenting styles or conflicts of parenting styles that you may have as we go along, okay? Hello, Yvonne. So there are 4 types of parenting styles. We have the authoritarian. That's actually the disciplinarian in the group, the one that's kind of punishment driven. We have permissive or indulgent individual. This is the parent who wants to be, I'm your friend, okay? Not really your parent. Then we have the neglectful or uninvolved person. And this parent usually gives kids a lot of freedom. Then the last one is the authoritative. This is the reasonable and nurturing parent, the person who sets high expectations and very clear standards. So we each kind of fall in one of these styles, or some of us may kind of dabble a little bit in each one. And it's very different for each kid. You may give a kind of different mixture because all our children are different. Every child you have, hello, thank you. Oh, thank you. Nice nail color. Yes, you know, orange is my favorite. But anyway, so I digress. Forgive me. So I just want you guys to know we're going to go through each one. And then at the end, we're going to kind of just chat a tad bit about what you do when you have conflicting parenting styles. Okay, so let's start off with the authoritarian parent. Okay, as I said, this person is like the disciplinarian, right? And so we have, okay, this will help me understand the parents of my students, and will come in handy for me when, yes, it definitely will come in handy for you when you're dealing with parents concerning their kids, because of course, as an educator, we receive that parenting style really hard, and we also receive the consequences of those parenting styles, or the impact of those parenting styles, whichever ones that they are, okay? So we have the authoritarian person who is very, very strict, and there's very little negotiation happening with this parent. The communication is one way. It's usually my way or the highway. There are lots of rules, but they never explain the rules to the kids. These parents are also less nurturing. There isn't any huggy, love, kiss. A lot of that doesn't happen. Usually you might just get, good job, dude, you know, and that's coming from the man or the woman, whoever style it is. There's very little flexibility with an authoritarian parent. There is pretty much, it's really limited if there is any flexibility. And pretty much the flexibility only goes with if it works to the benefit of what their rules are, all right? Children who have parents who are authoritarian, these kids tend not to be very happy. They have an unhappy type of disposition. They are also less independent. They need to be told all the time what to do. They're very insecure. They have very poor social skills. Many of them may have some mental issues like depression. They're very low self-esteem. And a lot of them, you'll see they'll exhibit more behavior problems in school or socially in different places. So like I said, please ask questions as we go along. I'm going to try to take my time within each section. And as I said, I'm going through each section in order. And we're doing authoritarian at this moment, right? So lots of these kids, you can recognize yourself as an authoritarian parent. If you believe that you are, ask yourself a couple of questions. Do I have very strict rules? And they need to be followed no matter what. That's your belief. If that's your belief, these rules have to be followed no matter what. Do you often find yourself offering no explanation, not even to your spouse, about the rules, whoever is this person? Because most of the time, you're either one or something else. Do you find that, you might say, because I said so, those kinds of things? Do you ever give your child very, very few choices and decisions for their own life? That is an example of an authoritarian parent as well. Hello, Nicola. Do you find yourself like pretty much very reserved? You have very little warmth and you're not really nurturing or anything like that. You don't really show your child that type of love. And you find yourself going to what's punishment is the first and foremost. So of course, in my culture, in Trinidad and Tobago, we all know it's licks. Is licks. Most parents, licks are taking something away. Maybe you'll lose your phone for a year or, things like that. But that authoritarian parent is like, my rules, it's it, or my way or the highway, so to speak, right? Next, we have the permissive parent. Remember, I said that was the parent who's very indulgent. That person, doesn't really give much guidance to the child. There's very little direction given to a child from a permissive parent. Hi, Derek, Mr. Mundy, how are you? I usually call the permissive parent is usually the Disney parent. That's my non-clinical word for it. Okay, so what do I suggest to a parent who believes he or she must beat or lash a child for everything? Okay, most definitely with that parent, we're going to have, of course, a private discussion. We need to find out what style of parenting, and right there, you probably know they're probably authoritarian. In saying that, it has to be clear within the rules. So I know different child abuse laws. We need to have the parents start talking about why is it that they're beating the child and why are they going to that first and foremost. But again, we need to know what's the other parent's parenting style as well. So we can start coaching the parents, be it an individual like myself. I can do parent coaching or relationship coaching through Higher Potential for Learning. But as the teacher, you need to also learn some of those little cues and questions you can ask without seeming too pushy, Jewel, and because you don't want them to become defensive, right? And I'll get more into that in a little bit. So I hope that kind of halfway answers your question a tad. So the permissive parent is definitely not the parent who does give licks. That parent really doesn't give very much guidance to their kid. There's very little direction. That parent doesn't have firm limits. They waver. They may be watching the kid as they're doing different things very closely, but they could be acting silly with the child and they don't really model appropriate, mature behavior for their children at all. It's opposite of strict, very much so. There's very few rules. The rules or the problems the kids are solving on their own. The problems that may happen for these children, it's go with their flow. My parents really don't care. You might hear the child actually even saying things like that. Communication is very open with a permissive parent, but they let the kids make their own decisions. They let the kids pretty much parent themselves, so to speak. These kids, you'll find, cannot follow rules. They have the worst self-control. They're very impulsive. They're very egocentric with their tendencies. And you'll find that they have lots of problems with relationships and social interactions. Because if they don't feel like sharing, if they don't feel like communicating, they just don't. So a permissive parent you can ask yourself question, do I care if my child is emotionally, physically safe, or do I care about what my child needs? Do I have an understanding of what's going on in my kid's life? Do I even know what kind of sports they have to do in the evening? Do I know if they have any extracurricular activities? Do I know what their favorite color is? Do I know what they like? Does my home provide an environment where my child's life is being shared with mine, or that I am actually open to their feedback as well as me giving them mine? Is there that exchange or interaction that's happening? Do I find myself making a lot of excuses for not being there for my child? Things like that you may see happening. Do you know all of your child's friends and all of your child's teachers and stuff like that? We need to be careful of how much are we allowing our children to do as far as parenting on their own. So permissive parent doesn't really have any discipline plan, no style is being utilized, things like that may occur. Like I said, they allow the children to pretty much do whatever it is that they choose to do. So or they might be the fun parent that decides that, okay, let's go to Disneyland, or, oh, we have homework, but you know what? Let's watch TV. Or do you want to eat chocolate for breakfast? Let's eat chocolate for breakfast. Things like that you'll see the permissive parent doing. Or they say yes to everything because they never want to be seen as the bad guy, right? Those kinds of things may occur as well. So yes. The next one we have is the uninvolved, neglectful parent. So this individual pretty much allows freedom, but freedom to a way of stay out of my way kind of freedom. They don't want the child getting involved or interrupting their life in any way. Some people may make a very conscious decision to parent this way. Many of these individuals should not have been parents themselves. They really should not have been. They don't really know what to do, to be understandable with that. But they're unavailable. They reject their kids. Communication is very limited. Yes, no, go, inside, don't bother me. They don't really have any expectations of their children. Maybe the only expectation is, please don't destroy the house, or, don't kill yourself, kind of thing. They don't really have any care. They don't care about the information concerning their child. Did their child bathe? Did their child eat? They are totally uninvolved and pretty much are very self-centered and focused in on themselves or what they want to do. Of course, the neglect may be obvious to teachers or other family members, and hopefully when they see this, someone steps in and does something, because it could get to a very dangerous situation with children who have uninvolved or neglectful parents. These kids are more impulsive. They cannot self-regulate their emotions. So they go from 0 to 160. They may cry for every little thing, or they may scream and kick. They may bite. They may do so many different things to either hurt themselves or hurt others. These individuals usually may have future addictive issues or delinquency issues, dealing with the law. Many of them could have suicidal thoughts, suicidal behaviors when they become adolescents or even younger. This child pretty much raises themselves into this low self-confidence, low self-esteem. They may seek love or care and attention from others who the substitute may be even worse than the neglectful parent, meaning being parts of gangs or different cults or groups or things like that. Anyone who shows them the love that they're missing, or the care or the support that they're missing from their parent. And so they'll find it from someone or something else. And so definitely, if you suspect someone is neglectful, please step in. Please, as a teacher, I know in Trinidad there is a process, and in the US there is a process for if we see a child dirty, if we see a child abused in other ways. It may not be physical, but it could be emotional abuse. But not caring for a child or not ensuring that they're eating or bathing or that they're safe is abuse, and it's neglect, and that individual needs to be approached, and the situation needs to be addressed. So I'm going to pause for a second. Please ask questions if I want to make sure I'm answering everything or addressing everything. If you guys have any questions. Every country or every state or city has different laws pertaining to how long kids can be left alone, if children should not be locked into the house if they're young to ensure they don't get out. Now, we know that there are many situations that are different for every parent, especially if you are a single parent. We know parents have to work and sometimes there's nobody else. And sometimes there's situations where they try their best to make sure their kids are safe, but locking them in the house or making sure there's food in there or whatever the case is. But here's a child that's under the age of 5 or 6, and maybe that kid is taking care of their younger siblings who are under their age of 5 or 6. It could be toddlers, and they're watching them. We know many instances where that occurs. We know many times that occurs. Does this parent even care about the person's friends? Do other people know this parent? Does the teacher know the parent? Have they ever met the parent? All those different kinds of things we would find would happen. The next one is the authoritative parenting. So this, I always say, is like the holy grail to parenting. We all hope to attain this, and we all hope to actually implement this as parent. This person is reasonable. They are nurturing to their kids. They set high and clear expectations. The communication is both ways. They are very involved and very supportive in their children's lives. When their kids ask questions, they respond. They tell the who, what, when, where, and why. And many times we have to give those explanations for our kids. They set firm limits for their children, and they try to help their child with control of their behavior by telling them the why, explaining what the rules are, discussing and reasoning with the child. They actually listen to a child's viewpoint. Yes, parents, children should have a voice. Yes, they should be allowed to say their part so that you have some buy-in. There should be a collaboration, but they do know what the rules are. They do know what the consequences are. If a child wants to actually have a discussion as to why they may think that these rules should change, or, mommy or daddy, I think that I'm old enough. Hi, Jamie. I think that I'm old enough to stay out a little bit later. They are able to debate, with their parents appropriately, to share their perspective or their side, and to show why they think that they've reached the age or the maturity level to be able to do certain things or have extra privileges. But both parents should decide on this. So the authoritative parent is the person who is going to say what the rules are. There's reasons why the rules are there. They need to explain that. Communicate frequently with your children at the levels that they are at so that they can understand it. It's not just, I told you so. Discipline with love, meaning if you're telling a child this is what their consequence is, please speak to the child, have a conversation, hold the child, touch shoulder. There should be some touch, some nurturing that is involved. So the child I love you. I love you, and I know that we are all allowed. We all make mistakes, and this is one of yours. And you would definitely ask, well, what are you doing? There should be a conversation. What are you doing? Is this one of the rules? Is that what you're supposed to be doing? What will happen if this rule is broken? As we discussed before, what is going to happen if this rule is broken? The child knows, believe you me, and the child will respond. Okay, so since you know that you have disregarded the first warning that I've given you, and children should be given warnings so that they're able to fix it, so that they're able to process through, okay, do I really want to do this? Should I really be doing this? If I do this, what is going to happen? They need to process through the pros and the cons of their behaviors. They need to make educated decisions. We would like them to be adults who are able to make educated decisions. Because guess what? Many of us have impulsive natures. Many of us will make a decision that we didn't really think clearly of. We just know, oh, I want my child to be happy. I want my child to like me. So you know what? Even though I know that my child isn't old enough to be smoking and I caught them smoking, I'll just be like, it's okay, we won't tell mom. Or it's okay, we won't tell dad. It's just going to be between you and I. That kind of borders on a journey towards several other lies and can escalate to many different things. Of when a child decides that, you know what? I like that purse. I know I can't afford that purse, but I like it. So I'm going to take it because I like it. They didn't think about you're stealing. They're not thinking about that's definitely against the law because this doesn't belong to me. They didn't think about, a responsible person would pay for this, or a responsible child would go to their parents and say, Mommy, I took a picture of this purse. This is the purse I would like. I'd like to earn it. I'd like to work, get allowance, go through a process of being able to get this. Or maybe they may ask and say, for my birthday, I'd like to know if you guys could pay for half of it and then I'll earn the other half and pay for it. This is the type of child you would like to have instead of one that's going to steal and escalate into being a passenger on the pipeline towards prison, which we do not want to occur. So I say this, and I hope it's not in joking for anyone, or if I've disrespected anyone, I apologize, but I'm saying this because as parent, we raise these children. So every prisoner, every psychopath, every abuser had a parent. And sometimes they had a parent who had two parents who had various styles of parenting. Sometimes they started off with two parents and now they only have one parent, be it divorce or death or whatever. That absence creates guilt, and that parent may decide, I think I better be permissive. Or because of the trauma or issues that the parent is going through, they may become uninvolved or neglectful. Or they may become authoritarian, where pretty much it's just a drill sergeant, giving rules and pretty much expect kids to just follow. And if every one of us know children, or if every one of us remember when we were kids, did you follow the rules all the time? You may not have gotten caught all the time, but did you follow the rules all the time? So please recognize your children are also going to do the same things you did, or nowadays they come up with new stuff that you haven't even thought of yet. So not every child sneaks out of the house like maybe you did through their bedroom window, down the stairs and so on, and just went out and met your friends and hung out in the middle of the night. Nowadays, they can bring their friends into their rooms through technology. They can have a party in their rooms through technology, through different virtual media types of platforms. So there's many things that can happen when you are asleep and the child is in the house. So if you want a child to be happy or content, your parenting style should be along the lines of authoritative. So you're raising the child in a friendly atmosphere that's cheerful. The child knows that, they could be self-reliant, they have self-control because they have guidance from the parent. These children are a little bit more independent, those who have an authoritative parent. They have great social skills, They are less depressed, less anxious. We have less occurrences of suicide attempts. They're less delinquent. They are curious, but their curiosity is guided and supported by a very present parent or parents. They're very less to be violent because they're not being modeled that. Not to say, everyone knows, those who know me, I don't believe in physical punishment. I don't believe in spanking. I don't believe in licks. I have had 5 spankings in my life, and I do not believe that any of those spankings made me a better person. It actually, in my opinion, just taught me violence, if that was the case. And so I don't believe that. But there are parents who do believe in spanking, and that's okay if you're doing it appropriately. There are specific places that you would spank a child. You will not hit a child in the trunk of their body, their head. You may hit them, spank them, one lash, open-handed on their bottom or on the spanking. There has to be a reason behind it, and hopefully it's explained. As I said, I would advise parents who are choosing to spank that they please look into all the different areas. Hi, Lisa. All the different other options that they can actually go to instead of hitting being the first thing that they do. So if you are an authoritative parent, I would say to you that your child's day has structure. There's a planned bedtime. They know what the rules are in the house. They're either written or they've been clearly stated. Children know what the expectations are. The expectations are reasonable. If their behavior isn't appropriate, they know exactly what the consequences will be for that. There should be a healthy, open line of communication with your child. The child should not be afraid to come and speak to you. Children should not be afraid of what's going to be the consequence, be it that it's going to be such a harsh judgment that they're going to hold back information from you. So when I say those things, I'm saying that you don't want to raise a child who has low self-esteem, poor social skills, issues with mental illness, and are delinquent. We want to ensure that children are not going to alcohol or going to individuals who are not supportive or who are going to encourage them to do more things negative than they should. So I would say to you, most definitely ensure that. So when I'm sorry, I thought I saw someone type something, sorry. So when you're dealing with a parent, both of you may have different styles. One person might be the authoritarian. The other person might be permissive. You guys need to understand you're working as a team. What are the goals that you want for your family? So the two of you need to clearly state what those are. And when you're having those conversations, please validate the things that the other person is saying that you may agree upon. So don't just be like, no, that's wrong. I don't believe that, so I don't care. No, you're going to have differences. You're two different people. You guys may eat things that are different. You may enjoy different hobbies. Those are differences that you have, but you got together. There was a reason. There were similarities and reasons why you decide to be together, be it married or in a cohabitating relationship. So whichever it may be, you also made a decision to have children together. So here is a little human that you guys are raising, and you have to model the appropriate behavior for. So I would say to many of you, please work really hard to understand what your differences are, because if you don't, you are going to be just clashing at each other. And guess what? Children are the great manipulators. So if they hear, ooh, daddy is like, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that. Mommy's like, sweetheart, mommy loves you. The world is all well. You are going to be fabulous. And I know you made a little boo-boo mistake right now, but all will be well. Or you'll have the daddy, we know mommy is hard. Mommy's a little hard. She doesn't really understand you. You know what? Let's go to Disneyland. Or, come on, honey, let me go take you shopping and make you feel better. So we have all of these different styles popping in. It is going to cause conflict in your relationship if you guys are not a team when it comes to parenting your children. There has to be a point where you can compromise. Hello, Dr. McCullum. You are going to have to learn what are the things that you guys appreciate about each other when it comes to parenting. Express that appreciation. Tell the other person what it is that you appreciate what they're doing with the child, whatever they did. When we always say we have to find a good thing in every situation, please find a good thing in that situation. So when that person said, I think I need to discuss this with your mom before we make a final decision. Or, sweetheart, when dad comes home, we will find out exactly what are the pros and cons of you going on this trip. And we will discuss it as a team and we'll come together. Don't worry, your best interest is at hand, and that's the first thing for us. Please make sure when you are alone with that person, your spouse or significant other or partner, please make sure you tell them, thank you so much for basically waiting. Thank you so much for telling our child that we need to work together to discuss what are the next steps for them going on a trip on their own, for them going to their first party, their first date. We caught them drinking. We caught them sexting. All the different things that may occur. Please make sure you always stand together and work as a team. It is extremely important that that is done. Remember, this child's well-being is the most important thing between you and your significant other. So there isn't a one-size-fits-all, parents. We definitely would want you to lean more on the side of being authoritative rather than being authoritarian or permissive or uninvolved. We need you to know that with every child, sometimes you have to sway a little bit more on one side to the other because each child receives information differently. You have to learn what is that child's way of understanding and learning. And then, of course, we know that some children may have outside issues or concerns that they have some limited control over. So our kids with special needs, you have to know your child, know the things that basically triggers that child into impulsive behavior or who may be delinquent, defiant. All of those different things fall under the specific characteristics of different disorders that your child may have. So if you're seeing different flags, please remember you and your spouse or partner are a team. You're not teaming up against the child. You're teaming up in support of your child. So if you have to seek outside counseling or coaching, please do so if you know you're not able to do this on your own. But that first conversation must be had between you and your partner. You are supporting your children through this long journey, and it's not an easy one. So it's not really a great thing if at home they know there's going to be conflict every single day. Many kids will stop speaking to their parents or stop sharing information with their parents if they see the conflict that's happening between their mother and their father, and if they think they're the cause for it. So before all of that occurs, please seek assistance. You can't always do it on your own. You may not know the information. You may not even understand what your style is. So at Higher Potential for Learning, we are able to assist you with those things. And so please, if you wish to contact us via email or Facebook, send us a message and we'll be more than happy to help guide you through different coaching programs that we can implement and involve you in. Okay, so I apologize that I have to bring this to a close right now, but I want you guys to please share with me any other topics that you would like us to actually discuss in future sessions of Come Sit and Chat with Dr. Clay. As I said, you know that we will be in the Caribbean and we will be working with different parents as well as teachers and other learning organizations to bring information about parenting, children who are neurotypical, as well as kids who have special needs. You're able to contact us if you would like us to come and do full panel tests or pre-screenings for your children to see if they're gifted, autistic, have ADHD, or a learning disability. We can be available for you. So please recognize that I would like to thank some people before I say goodbye. I would like to thank Neglectful in San Fernando for doing all of our decorating needs when we have all of our workshops and things like that. CT Cover in Vancouver for helping us with all of our branding needs while we're there and all the behind the scenes planning. Mika Mars Creations for the makeup because she's the bomb. She makes me look the bomb, so thank you. And Olmayuel Floor to Ceiling in San Fernando for his continuing support and sponsorship for every time we come to Trinidad, for helping us to be able to bring these services to individuals who cannot afford them. And to my friends and my students and colleagues at Walden University who have also sponsored some parents and children for pre-screenings and full panel assessments. Thank you for your continued support. I appreciate it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for visiting us during this session with Come Sit and Chat with Dr. Clay. I thank you very much for sharing this experience with me. Good day.